Welcome to this explainer. Right now, we're witnessing a genuinely bizarre phenomenon in modern sports. You tune into a primetime World Cup match happening in Mexico or Toronto, fully expecting total deafening chaos in the stands. But instead, you're staring at huge swaths of glaringly empty VIP seats, right smack in the middle of the action. For what was supposed to be the most hyped tournament of the century, these visuals are honestly shocking. So what is actually going on behind the scenes?
Okay, let's dive into this, because FIFA's official response to these viral images is truly something else. Instead of just acknowledging they had a ticketing issue, they genuinely claimed that thousands of fans were simply out of their seats, quote, standing by the concession stands. Now, keeping in mind that a single soda costs about $16 at these stadiums, the idea that thousands of people simultaneously abandon the match for massively marked up snacks is, well, it's a pretty massive stretch, right?
The sheer contrast between FIFA's official narrative and what we're all seeing on the broadcast is wild. For the Toronto match, FIFA claimed that only 43 seats were unsold. 43! In Guadalajara, they claimed just 679 empty spots, but the global broadcast was clearly panning across thousands of vacant seats. The math was literally not matching the cameras. Well, it turns out there was a huge disconnect happening behind closed doors. Just days before the US host nation debut, the Financial Times actually uncovered that 180,000 unsold seats were just sitting idle on FIFA's official resale portal. 180,000. Even the US men's national team games weren't fully sold out. All of that months-long hype suddenly collided with this massive wall of unsold inventory. To really understand why this happened, we have to look at the motive. When FIFA awarded the 2026 games to North America, they clearly saw an opportunity for a massive cash grab. Back in Qatar in 2022, ticket revenues hovered around $950 million. But for North America, FIFA projected an unbelievable $3 billion for the exact same tournament structure. They essentially made a bet that American audiences would tolerate NBA Finals level pricing. And to hit that $3 billion projection, they cranked the pricing dials to the absolute maximum. 4 years ago in Qatar, you could actually get into a group stage opening match for about $55. Fast forward to North America, the absolute cheapest opening game tickets jumped to $560. That is a 10x increase in just 4 years for the exact same 90 minutes of soccer. And this brilliantly illustrates just how aggressive this got, especially when we look at the final. In 2022, $206 got you in the door. In North America, the absolute cheapest nosebleed seat, the ones where you're practically watching the game on the Jumbotron anyway, will run you $2,000. Think about that. The worst seat in 2026 costs significantly more than the highest paid VIP face value ticket from just 4 years prior. This astronomical price hike managed to achieve something incredibly rare in the US, cross-aisle political unity. We saw dozens of US lawmakers formally call out the pricing, labeling it as completely hostile to everyday sports fans. Donald Trump also publicly weighed in, plainly stating, I wouldn't pay it either. When you have politicians from entirely different sides of the spectrum agreeing that your tickets cost too much, you know you've pushed the market to its absolute breaking point. But here's the kicker. Face value was just the baseline. The primary weapon deployed against fans for 2026 was dynamic pricing. For the very first time in World Cup history, FIFA decided to adopt an algorithmic pricing model. So if the system sees high demand, it just automatically jacks up the cost in real time. Let's walk through how this algorithm actually worked to punish the average fan. Imagine a dad trying to buy tickets for his family. First, he waits in this grueling online queue for 8 hours. While he's doing that, the algorithm detects hundreds of thousands of other people waiting too. So by the time he finally makes it to checkout, a ticket that was originally supposed to be $1,000 has automatically surged by 60%. He is suddenly staring at a $1,600 face value price tag before he even hits buy. Then you have to factor in the sheer marketing hype. FIFA's president was aggressively out there projecting they would receive 150 million ticket requests. But continuously broadcasting this historic demand severely backfired. Professional scalpers heard those massive numbers, saw the ultimate money-making opportunity, and absolutely swarmed the ticketing queues. And this scalper swarm triggered complete and utter resale market madness. Once those dynamically priced tickets were locked up by brokers, they immediately hit the official resale marketplace. Because the scalpers had already paid those artificially surged algorithm prices, they had to list them even higher just to make a profit. The market went fully parabolic, honestly behaving less like a sporting event and way more like a crazy meme stock frenzy. Just how parabolic are we talking? Well, according to the New York Post, on FIFA's officially sanctioned resale marketplace, some tickets were actually listed for over $230,000. No way, right? Obviously, no average fan is going to buy a soccer ticket for the price of a house, but it just perfectly illustrates how thoroughly detached from reality this entire marketplace became. And here is the ultimate twist in this whole investigation. Historically, FIFA actually capped resale prices at face value and just took a modest 10% fee to explicitly discourage scalping. But for 2026, they mysteriously abandoned that rule. Why? Because by letting the resale market run totally wild, FIFA figured out a genius, albeit cynical, way to double dip on every single secondary transaction. So the crucial point is how this math actually breaks down. Let's take a standard $1,000 resale ticket. FIFA takes a 15% cut from the seller, who walks away with $850. But then FIFA also charges a 15% fee to the buyer, meaning the fan ultimately pays $1,150. From a ticket they already sold once, FIFA quietly pockets an additional $300 in hidden fees. They essentially created an ecosystem to profit heavily from the exact scalping problem they themselves caused. But, as always, gravity eventually takes over. The fatal flaw in this entire scheme was assuming everyday Americans would happily just hand over $10,000 to watch group stage soccer games between obscure countries. Shockingly, they wouldn't. Outside of a few hardcore tourists, the average local consumer simply tuned it out entirely. The market completely outpriced the actual reality of the sport's demand. And then came the climax. With massive inventory just sitting there and literally zero buyers, full-blown panic set in. Average ticket prices plummeted 36% below the original face value on the official marketplace. Scalpers who had hoarded tickets at those dynamically surged prices were suddenly ruined. They had to take a massive financial loss, plus stomach FIFA's 15% seller fee just to try and offload their dead inventory. Which brings us right back to those empty stadiums. Terrified of broadcasting a ghost town to the world, FIFA initiated a secret panic dump. Suddenly, unmarked bulk seats started appearing on Ticketmaster for 30% below face value. We learned they quietly struck a backroom deal with the NYC mayor to offload 1,000 tickets for just $50 each. They basically had to scramble right back to Qatar-level pricing in a desperate last-minute bid to get warm bodies into the building. But despite all these frantic last-minute dumps, the cameras still captured thousands of empty VIP seats during the matches, a glaring visual testament to a greedy algorithm gone terribly wrong. It leaves us with a pretty stark reality about the modern era of global sports. If the World Cup entirely prices out the average, everyday local family just to maximize corporate double dip fees, we have to ask ourselves, who is the beautiful game really for?